Welcome to the NXT Ring of Honor News Central for the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. This is the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast with your host, Lewis Carlin.
Hello and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast, the ROH NXT edition. I am your host, Lewis Carlin, and we are part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. So good to be back with you today. I'm going to talk a little NXT, a little ROH, as we do every week here. And in case you weren't aware, the debut of the Pro Wrestling Personified Impact Edition podcast actually debuted this week as well, so check that one out. It's all about Impact. Impact Wrestling fans rejoice. The podcast is here. Go to the network, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. Check it out. The Impact edition of the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast is here and ready to go, ready to be listened to. So go ahead and do me a favor and download it and listen to it, and I hope you like it. But this show is all about NXT and ROH, as it is every week. And as I said, we are part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. You can actually check us out on Twitter if you like, at Tapped Out Pod. Go ahead, give us a follow. You can follow me on Twitter at PWSOTH, or you can follow Pro Wrestling Personified on Twitter at PW Personified. So that's at Tapped Out Pod, at PWSOTH, and at PW Personified. Go ahead, check us out, follow us on Twitter. So go ahead, do that, and we'll get right into the NXT and ROH talk, as we do each and every week. I just want to say before I start out, I read this, I read today that Eric Young's mom passed away. He wasn't on the NXT show. He didn't come out with Sanity. I was kind of wondering about that, but his mother passed away, so that's why he wasn't on the show this week. So on behalf of Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network and Pro Wrestling Personified, I just want to send out my condolences to Eric Young and his entire family in this loss. God bless you, Eric Young. God bless you and your family, and please accept my condolences for the loss of your mother. Very, very sorry to hear about that. Okay, just wanted to get that out of the way, because I read about that, and I thought I just would mention it before we actually get into the wrestling talk for the week. Before we get started, I have another. I like to start these with non-wrestling stories, and I have actually a funny one. Well, it wasn't funny when it happened, but it's probably going to sound funny because I got hurt. I was working. I drive a truck, and for a safety shoe company, and I had to get to a call in the morning. It was raining out, so I went to the truck, started it up, checked the mileage, filled out my logbook. I had the computer with me because there's a little store in the back of the truck, so I had my computer. I was going to hook it up, but as I put my foot out to step out of the cab on the first step, my foot slipped and I fell right to the ground, right onto the computer. And I must have looked like a complete jerk falling there, because it wasn't a graceful fall, because it was me trying to prevent myself from falling, but I couldn't because there was nothing to grab onto, and I just took a boom. I took a bump. I took a pretty bad wrestling bump. I cut up my arm, hurt my shoulder, hurt my tricep. So your host Lewis Carlin today is hurting today. My arm's all scraped up, and now I know what it's like to take a bump, and I don't think I could take too many of them. But I kind of destroyed the computer. Kind of feel bad about that. The company's going to have to replace it. It was an accident, I don't blame anybody. It was wet out. It was raining. I slipped. It happens. But again, I wish somebody was there to record it, because it must have looked quite funny. Because I hit the ground hard, it probably looked a lot worse than it actually was. Because I hit the ground hard, and I'm lucky I didn't break anything. But yeah, just a few scrapes. Like I said, a hurt shoulder, but I survived. I'm a tough guy. I could take the bumps. At least one anyway. Not too many of them though. Not too many of them. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way and let you know that your old guy Luke Carlin is a little hurt today, as I stated already. But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about the wrestling. Let's get into the wrestling. So we're going to start again today, as we normally do, with NXT. NXT, actually, both shows were decent. NXT and ROH. So we'll start off with the NXT, as I said, as we normally do. The show started off with a nice video package of the main event, which is Asuka versus Nikki Cross in the last woman standing match. Something I was actually looking forward to because I know Asuka is so talented, and Nikki Cross she's not bad herself, and I was expecting a hard hitting encounter, and that's exactly what we got in the main event, which I will get to shortly. But found out that I read about this actually about a week ago, but this was the debut of Mauro Ranallo joining the announce team at NXT. And I'll tell you, he's fantastic. I've always been a fan of Mauro Ranallo. Welcome addition to the announce team. Makes every match seem so important. Puts over every single match. Great get there. Very happy to see him back with the WWE, with NXT, because he's just phenomenal. Fantastic. Right up there. He's almost, I won't say he's a Jim Ross or a Gordon Solie, because nobody really is, but he's getting there. He's getting there, and he adds excitement to every single match. So, good job NXT of bringing him in. And he did a great job as usual for this edition of NXT. The first match actually saw the Velveteen Dream take on Ho Ho Lun, who you might have remembered him from. You might remember him from actually the Cruiserweight Challenge. But this was basically just a quick squash match to put over the Velveteen Dream. Very flamboyant ring entrance for the Velveteen Dream. And I gotta tell you, I like the Velveteen Dream. I'm a fan. I am a fan of the Velveteen Dream. You could tell that, this character, it's almost a unique character. I was on the fence, but I decided I do like the character. I was thinking about it the last few weeks that I saw him, but I do like the guy. He's very, very athletic. He's very, very, very into the character, and he's gonna make it work. And he's got this great finisher, which is an impressive flying elbow off the top rope, which would impress Randy Macho Man Savage, by the way. Oh yeah, that was it. That was a terrible impression of Randy Savage. I apologize for that. But he's, very impressive flying elbow, drop finisher. Again, quick match, pretty much a squash match, like I said, putting over the Velveteen Dream. We've seen him in about 3 or 4 squash matches. Let's, like Drew McIntyre, as I said about Drew McIntyre, about 2 weeks ago, let's start getting him against some opponents that could actually put him over a little better. Let's see a better match. I don't want to see any more squash matches with Velveteen Dream. I want to see him. Let's see him against. I don't know. Let's see how he fares against. He's on the show today about Oney Lorcan. Let's see how he fares against him. Or bring back. I haven't seen Andrade Cien Almas in a few weeks. Let's bring him back. Let's see how a Velveteen Dream Almas feud might not be that bad. So let's get him into some more meaningful matches. But I do like him. Very athletic. Has a great look. Again, I love the ring entrance. Very flamboyant. And Lewis Carlin is a fan of the Velveteen Dream. Not that he really cares. Oh, I'm sure he cares. I'm sure he cares if I'm a fan or not. He wants fans. He doesn't want people not to like him. He wants to keep his job. But he's doing a great job. Again, I'm a fan. Fan of the Velveteen Dream. Then from there, they showed a clip of Asuka coming into the NXT to Full Sail University. and Nikki Cross jumps on the limo, and they didn't get into a brawl, but Nikki Cross is trying to get at Asuka. Asuka steps out of the cab, but they're held apart. So it's adding a little more intrigue to the match that's coming up later in the show, the main event match, which like as I said, I'm looking forward to. So a nice little video there of Nikki Cross trying to get at Asuka. Asuka didn't back down at all. She got out of the limo, and they would have gone if Nikki Cross wasn't held back. But yeah, no, another definitely added intrigue to the upcoming encounter. And then from there, we had William Regal in his office, and on the left side of his desk is my least favorite tag team, Heavy Machinery. And on the right side is Authors of Pain with Precious Paul Ellering. And William Regal announces that in 2 weeks, Heavy Machinery has earned a shot at the title, and they will receive it in 2 weeks against the Authors of Pain. So in 2 weeks, it will be the Authors of Pain defending the NXT titles against Heavy Machinery. Good gosh. Why are they making us wait 2 weeks for this? Couldn't they just put this on this show and get it over with and get on to the next feud for Authors of Pain? I gotta wait 2 weeks for a 0-star match, basically. Not really interested, as if you've been listening to my show, not really interested in Heavy Machinery or this feud at all. I say just get the match over with, let them move on. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm just not a fan. If you're a fan of Heavy Machinery, and I'm sure there are plenty of them out there, I apologize, but this is my opinion, and I don't like Heavy Machinery. I just want this match to be over and done with, and let's get on to the next feud. What they're going to do with Heavy Machinery, I don't know. I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't care. To be quite honest, I don't care. I'm just not a fan of Heavy Machinery. You know what I hope? Actually, I know I said I don't want to talk about them, but I'm just going to say this. You know what I'm hoping? I'm hoping they prove me wrong and they have a great match against Authors of Pain. If they do that, I'll become a fan of Heavy Machinery. I hope they prove me wrong. I'm going to say it. Heavy Machinery, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Let's see what you can do. But right now, I am not a fan of Heavy Machinery. William Regal calls it the biggest match in NXT history, but he said literally the biggest match. Not that he just meant, size-wise, so nobody gets confused. He meant size-wise, not, talent-wise, but size-wise, it's the biggest match, in NXT history. And I'll agree with him there. It probably is. I don't think, the Great Khali was in NXT, but anyway, doesn't matter. But anyway, so yeah, literally the best match in NXT history is coming up in 2 weeks, and not looking forward to it. Okay, then from there we actually went to Oni Lorcan in a rematch against Hideo Itami. Now I was a little confused. They could have really built this up as Lorcan looking for revenge against Hideo Itami. After Itami hit him with the 3 go-to-sleeps in a row without attempting to pin him 2 or 3 weeks ago, which caused Cassius Ohno to come out. And I thought it was a heel turn, but I don't know. They didn't seem like it was full-fledged heel turn, because it seemed like Itami has already apologized to Cassius Ohno. So the full-fledged heel turn, if it's going to happen, hasn't happened yet. But we had the rematch, Oni Lorcan, Hideo Itami. There was no promoting, no advertising. I feel this should have been the main event, because this is a main event match. These two guys are really stiff, hard hitters, and it should have been the main event. They should have promoted it. I don't know. They just threw it in the middle of the show without any promoting it at all. No build up, which I felt was a mistake. But anyway, but the match started, with Oni Lorcan looking for revenge, rushes Itami, hits him with a huge uppercut, which apparently breaks Itami's nose because blood is pouring out of it. His nose is swelling up. So the ref stops the match. They had some trainers come out and they tended to Hideo Itami. Itami left the ring and walked to the back. And as I said, the ref had stopped the match. And that was that. And I thought that was the end of it from there, but that wasn't the end of it because actually Itami actually came back a little later in the show, and he came back with a broken nose. He had cotton stuffed up in his nose, and returned. And the match, Oni Lorcan came back, and the match continued. And it was a very physical, hard-hitting affair, as is expected from Hideo Itami and Oni Lorcan. Again, hard-hitting, very physical, and Itami did wind up winning by hitting the GTS on Oni Lorcan. Only used one GTS, one for the pinned him, and that was it. So a very good match. The ending was it seemed like the ending was a little rushed, but I could understand his nose was broken. I don't think he could have gone full steam in the match, so it was a little rushed to end the match. But again, Hideo Itami wins the match, but after the match ended, he called out Cassius Ohno. Ohno comes to the ring, and they're talking for a little bit. You can't hear what they're saying because there's no mics, and out comes Sanity. Alexander Wolf. We had Damien came out, and Nikki was out as well, Nikki Cross. And, I'm sorry, Damien. What am I saying, Damien? Killian Dane. You know, I cover so much wrestling, I get confused, so I apologize. It's Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and Nikki Cross. They all came out. Wolf and Killian Dane beat down Cassius Ohno and Hideo Itami. And then Alexander Wolf cuts a promo, which I don't know if anyone listened to it, but it seemed a little incoherent to me. I really couldn't really understand what he was talking about. It seemed a little incoherent. I think he was putting over Killian Dane, but I'm not sure. It's just unless he meant to be incoherent, but wasn't the best promo. Wasn't the best promo. And again, Eric Young wasn't there, as I stated earlier. His mom had passed away, and again, I offer him my condolences. But now you know why Eric Young cuts all the promos for Sanity. So I just want to get that out there. Yeah. So all right, and so from there, we find out we got a Roderick Strong Bobby Roode video package, and next week will be the 400th episode of NXT, and Bobby Roode will be putting the NXT title on the line against Roderick Strong, which should be a phenomenal match. I could see that being the only match next week and it going the distance, going 30, 40, 45 minutes. So I'm really looking forward to that match next week. Bobby Roode versus Roderick Strong for the NXT title next week. And from there, we had our main event of the show, which was Asuka taking on Nikki Cross in a last woman standing match, and good God, this was a terrific match from start to finish. I know I use this word for Tommy and Lorcan. This was a hard-hitting affair. The two ladies went all out. They put on a phenomenal match. Terrific match between the two. You got This Is Awesome chants, and Asuka actually pulled out a garbage can, and you heard the ECW chants. So after all these years, we're still getting ECW chants, which are amazing. ECW, if you're not familiar with it, was this terrific promotion out of Philadelphia in the 90s, which I went to a few live original shows in Queens, New York for ECW. Terrific shows. They were phenomenal. I feel very fortunate that I was actually able to go to an original ECW show at the Elks Lodge in Queens, New York, because they always put on a great show. But back to NXT, so the ECW chants came out for the garbage can, and again, phenomenal match from start to finish. one thing that kind of got a little scared, Nikki Cross powerbombed Asuka on the outside from the ring apron onto a pile of chairs, and it looked like Asuka hit her head on the floor. It was like a concussion-like hit. So I hope she's okay. I hope she doesn't have any concussions or anything. I checked the web for the news on that, but I don't see anything about her having any concussions. So hopefully she's okay, because that was her head hit the ground. You could see her head hitting the ground. I watched it a few times, and her head hit the ground. I got a little scared, but she seems to be okay, thankfully, hopefully, and that she's okay and she didn't get hurt too badly on that. So Asuka actually suplexed Nikki Cross off a ladder through the announce table to win the match. She got up, like I said, last woman standing match. They were both down. Referee was counting. She got up first before the count of 10, retains her title. Terrific match, and it leads now. All roads lead to an Asuka versus Ember Moon rematch for the NXT women's title, which should be terrific as well. So there you go. So that was NXT this week. Actually, I have a little bit of NXT news. It's actually joint ROH NXT news. I was reading online that there are rumors that War Machine, ROH top tag team War Machine, is rumored to be signing with NXT. Whether this is true or not, I don't know. As much as I wouldn't want War Machine to leave ROH, if this is true, I would have to say that it's a terrific move for NXT, because right now their tag team division is kind of the pits right now, and War Machine against Authors of Pain would be a terrific match. So I don't know. I love them in ROH, but NXT really needs them. I don't know how to feel about it. But either way, as long as I get to see War Machine, because I'm a big fan of theirs, I'll be happy. All right, so there you go. So that's a little bit of news for ROH and NXT. So we breezed through NXT, and we have nothing left to do but go into ROH. But actually, we do have something left to do. We have some plugs. Can't get through the podcast without plugging some stuff. Of course. So, as I stated, this is the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast, the ROH NXT edition. There's also an Impact Wrestling edition, which debuted this week as well. So you might want to check that one out at the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. You could check out the website, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com, spelled exactly how it sounds, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. Again, follow us on Twitter at TappedOutPod, follow me at PWSOTH, and you can follow the Pro Wrestling Personified on Twitter at PW Personified. And we're on Facebook as well, too. So you can Tap Out Wrestling Podcast. You could, like us on Facebook. Pro Wrestling Personified is on Facebook as well. So you could go there and like the page as well. Go ahead. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. We cherish each and every follow and each and every like. So go ahead and do it. And also, if you want to send an email to Tapped Out Wrestling, it's tappedoutvwrestling@gmail.com. If you like professional wrestling, if you like MMA, I would suggest that you get the Fight app. Download the Fight app, and you can watch a lot of content, a lot of pro wrestling content on the Fight app. ROH pay-per-views, Slammiversary is on, TNA pay-per-views are on the Fight app. So if you're a pro wrestling fan, and I'm sure you are if you're listening to the show, get the Fight app, download it, get the content. You won't be disappointed. You like t-shirts, go to Pro Wrestling Tees. That's ProWrestlingTees.com. Last week, I apologize. I said ProWrestlingTees.com. I apologize for that. It's ProWrestlingTees.com. Pro Wrestling Tees. So ProWrestlingTees.com. 2 E's. ProWrestlingTees.com. Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. We have our own t-shirt. Go ahead, you could get that. And there's a lot of other t-shirts there. If you're a wrestling fan, go to prowrestlingtees.com, TEES.com, and get a t-shirt today. And I'm also a writer. I do a column called The Random Review for a website called Kayfabe Today. Great website, lots of wrestling content. We cover all the bases. Terrific staff at Kayfabe Today. So check it out, kayfabetoday.com. Follow them on Twitter at Kayfabe Today. And like I said, I do the Random Review. What I do is I pick a random professional wrestling organization, review their TV product. I use the Fight app for that, without a doubt, because there's so much content on there. I always use the Fight app for that. And I review it, and I write a review, and it goes on to Kayfabe Today. So keep your eyes out for that as well. kayfabetoday.com. All right. Let's get into ROH wrestling. Gonna get through this pretty quickly. Not really too much. I had 3 matches this week for ROH wrestling. So the show actually opened with Cody Rhodes cutting a promo. They're coming from Chicago. So the show opened with Cody Rhodes beginning a promo. Christopher Daniels comes into the ring. He brawls with Cody Rhodes. They have a long brawl. Referee, security try to come out. They try to stop the brawl, but Rhodes and Daniels takes out anyone who tries to stop the brawl. And it was a good heated brawl between the two. Good way to open the show. Keeping the heat between Daniels and Rhodes. I really liked it. Usually they start with a match, but once in a while they'll start with something like this, and I was a big fan of it. Good brawl between the two. Again, keeping the heat between Rhodes and Daniels, and I'm looking forward to a Cody Rhodes Christopher Daniels rematch for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. As we all know, Cody Rhodes is the ROH World Heavyweight Champion after defeating Cody Rhodes at Best in the World. So I'm looking forward to that rematch. When it's going to take place, I'm not sure, but it's definitely something to look forward to. From there, we went to Jay Briscoe taking on top prospect Josh Woods. Josh Woods called out Jay Briscoe last week. Jay Briscoe accepted. Thus, we have our first match of the evening. Josh Woods was playing the cocky young star. Jay Briscoe, being the more experienced, won the match, which was the right call. He dominated most of the match. Woods got in some offense, but Jay Briscoe wound up winning the match. It was a good match, very good match. I won't say very good. It was a good match between the two. Josh Woods had his definite potential. I'd like to see a lot more of him. There was a terrific suicide dive by Jay Briscoe onto Josh Woods. So if you watch the show, or if you're going to watch it, keep an eye out for that suicide dive. It was very, very impressive by Jay Briscoe. But again, Jay Briscoe wins the match. Woods seemed to have he seems to have earned the respect of Jay Briscoe. Didn't see any handshaking or anything, because as soon as the match ended, they showed a clip of Will Ferrara turning on his partner Cheeseburger after a match with the Young Bucks. I guess Cheeseburger accidentally hit Will Ferrara, and Will Ferrara took exception to that, turned on Cheeseburger, and it's setting up a feud between Will Ferrara and Cheeseburger, which should be coming up in the near future, which I'm sure we'll see a few matches between those two. Those two very talented wrestlers, so it should be interesting. Will Ferrara against... you gotta love the name Cheeseburger. You gotta love the name Cheeseburger, but yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Well, as I always say, we'll keep our eyes peeled and our ears open for that encounter. Match 2 gave us the Tempura Boys, who are Sho Tanaka and Yohei Kamatsu. They are from New Japan Professional Wrestling. Now, they originally were supposed to take on Coast to Coast, who are Shaheem Ali and LSG, or Leon St. Giovanni. They were about to get in the way, but the Young Bucks came out, and they wanted to be involved. They said, let's have a Texas Tornado 3-way for the ROH World title. World Tag Team titles. The Temporal Boys, Coast to Coast, naturally accepted. And it was a great match, a great three-way. Texas Tornado rules, no tagging in. Anything goes. Terrific match from start to finish. Anything with the Young Bucks is terrific. Really enjoyed the match. Of course, the Young Bucks retained, but great match. All teams got in good offense. I really like Coast to Coast. They definitely have good potential there. And the Tempora Boys, they were great as usual. So great three-way match. For match 2 here on the show. Really enjoyed it. And after that, we got a four corner survival match for an ROH TV title shot. So it was for a shot at the ROH TV title. So Mark Briscoe against the Beer City Bruiser, against Chris Sabin, against Kenny King. Match started a little slow, but it picked up. It picked up the pace, and it turned into a decent little match. A lot of good spots there. The Beer City Bruiser doing a frog splash is always impressive. He hit a frog splash onto Chris Sabin. Again, that's always impressive. I was pulling for the Beer City Bruiser. I like the Beer City Bruiser. But in the end, Kenny King came out on top, and he has earned a shot at the ROH TV title, which is currently held by Kushida, but not for long because my guy Marty Scurll is going to get that title back. But Kenny King won the match again, decent match. We had a nice Tower of Doom move there, which was really impressive. But yeah, Kenny King has won a shot at the ROH TV title, so that's something to look forward to. You would have thought that Mark Briscoe would have gone over because he before the match started, he gave a spirited, heartfelt promo on how he really wants to win the ROH TV title. But yeah, thought he would have won that, but Kenny King was the winner of the match, and so Kenny King again gets a shot at the ROH TV title. So and next week was announced that Matt Taven will take on CMLL's Ultimo Guerrero. There apparently seems to be some heat between the two. I'm not really familiar with the heat between the two. I'll have to look that up. But Matt Taven against Ultimo Guerrero next week on ROH TV. And there you have it. The week in NXT and ROH. So from there, again, I just want to. Actually, I don't think I promoted. So yeah. So actually, I have next week is going to be the debut of the ROH interview, and my first guest, and I'm very proud to say this, his first guest, good friend of mine, is UCW superstar, Nova Scotia wrestling superstar, JP Sims, former UCW and IFWA World Heavyweight Champion. JP Sims will be my guest, and that interview will be available on the Tapped Out Podcast Wrestling Network next week. So download that, listen to my conversation with JP Sims. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Future superstar. You're probably going to see him in ROH or NXT very soon. But JP Sims on the Pro Wrestling Personified interview next week for the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. Don't forget, Pro Wrestling Personified Impact Edition is debuting. Download it. Listen to it. Hope you enjoy it. Go to tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. Get all the podcasts, download them, subscribe. iTunes, Google Play, subscribe, listen to them. Fantastic podcasts. Okay, so that's it for this week for the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast ROH NXT edition. So I will say thank you for joining me again today. My name, again, is Louis Carlin, and this is, once again, the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast ROH NXT edition for the Tapped Out Podcast Wrestling Network. I am Louis Carlin. Take care. So long. See you not see you. I'll join me again next week, and I'll be back for sure. So stay safe. Have a good week. And for all my Canadian fans out there, I just want to say Happy Canada Day, and for all my American fans out there, happy 4th of July. Enjoy it. Stay safe, and I'll be back next week. Take care, and so long, and bye-bye.